I'm not sure how long you've been watching my channel or how many videos you've watched, but I am in my 10th month of vlogging as of right now. And in that time, I have completed a 50-kilometer road race that went well. I completed a 42-kilometer marathon that didn't go well at all. I completed a 10-mile road race, but I did that while wearing a suit, and it went pretty good. And I competed in a mountain bike race that lasted over 3 days through the trails of British Columbia, and it was about 200 kilometers. And I didn't train for that at all. So you can imagine how that went. But what's interesting for me is that that was a relatively light competition year for me. There were no other distractions as far as powerlifting competitions or duathlons. I wasn't running cross country for the university that I'm attending. And I wasn't trying to get into any world championships, which require world championship qualifier races. And even without all of that, I still managed to log about 110 kilometers of running in races and another 200 kilometers in mountain bike race kilometers. And there's not really anything to say about all of that. It's just something that I'm using as a point of reference for this video. Basically, I didn't die. But doing all those and recognizing that I didn't have a great deal of enthusiasm for the training or the racing made me realize that I should probably just take 2020 off from solo competitions. I've been going hard in a variety of different sports since probably around 2014-ish. That's when I really got it in my head that I wanted to do powerlifting and duathlons and ultras and mountain bike races. I'm just competitioned out at this point. And because of that, I made a decision to sort of drop all the races and competitions for 2020. Not so much from a health standpoint, but from a wellness standpoint. And when I say wellness, I mean mental health. Competing all the time like that takes its toll on you. It's not just taxing on the body, it's taxing on the mind as well. But as is often the case, the mind doesn't always look out for itself. And it certainly doesn't always look out for the body either. So, of course, I decided to sign up for a snowshoe race.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I could totally try to rationalize the decision to sign up for a race, even though I decided that I wasn't going to race this year. I miss competing. I like having a specific training goal. I just bought some sexy new running snowshoes. But would any of those justify my decision? Maybe. Probably not. So what does that say about me? Well, a couple of things. First, this was a New Year's resolution for me. I made a New Year's resolution not to compete in anything in 2020. That's definitely a strike against me because I'm a proponent of resolutions. I like New Year's resolutions. I think they work amazingly well to facilitate positive behavior changes in a person. Even though the trend these days is not to like resolutions because reasons. I'm a little less than 2 months into my New Year's resolution not to compete, and I've already failed. However, I like to think that as failures go, at least in this case, I'm failing forward. And if you have to fail, failing forward is the best way to do it. And just in case you're not familiar with the term failing forward, the idea is that if you're going to fail, try to fail from one good behavior into another behavior that could be considered objectively good, with good being open to interpretation, but generally speaking, something that isn't harmful or maladaptive in nature. As in, I didn't break my resolution not to do any solo competitions in 2020 to start a cocaine addiction. You see the difference there? Falling forward. Anyway, moving on. The second thing it says about me is that I am way too competitive for my own good. Not always, but a lot of the time. But I like to think that I'm ethically competitive. I'm not type A competitive, which is horrible. There's definitely a difference between the two. I just like competing in things because I learn a lot about myself when I do competitions. And also because I feel like it makes me a better personal trainer or life coach, because I've learned so much about myself through competitions that I can extrapolate from that and possibly provide that advice to someone else. At least I think it does. Maybe some of the people that I've worked with in the past will show up in the comments of this video and set me straight in that regard. For the most part, I see myself as being an improved human being because of competitions. I like them for that reason. And competing in sports is a conduit to self-improvement and personal development for me. And I think they mostly work that way for a lot of people. Even though in this particular instance, I've sabotaged one avenue for personal growth in favor of another avenue, which I admit is ironic, but it isn't fatal. Let's just call it a teachable moment or a learning opportunity and not dwell on it too much, because I got a race tomorrow morning.